Hey everybody and welcome to this Wednesday's MBE Movie News. I'm on my lonesome, as I always am, on a Wednesday night. Stephen buggers off and lets me do this all on my own, as if doing live shows together wasn't stressful enough. Actually doing it alone. And to make matters worse, I always leave my weights until the last possible moment. So I was doing weight training, hence why I've delayed coming on there. Just a few moments. I do apologise about that. I'll get that out of the way straight off the bat. I was battering a protein shake there off camera before I came on, but look, I'm here now, guys, so I'm going to dive right in to the headline of the show, and it's of course one Joe Russo of the Russo brothers fame, a man who's well versed in the world of MCU, Marvel, Disney, all the relationships, a man with his finger in the pie, if you'd like, and he's been coming out and he's been speaking again about the future of the MCU, the future of Marvel moving forward into Phase 4. Of course, he spoke a few months back as well about Fantastic Four and how they weren't ready for... Oh, no, sorry, he wasn't saying they weren't ready for the Fantastic Four. He was saying that the Fantastic Four were about to have a definitive movie. And of course, that got me and Stephen speaking, and we're very excited about that. I'm seeing a comment on the site here that's saying the audio is not very good. I will pop off very briefly, and then I'll come back and do a... Hello. Listen, guys, I'll just start that from scratch again. You know, I'll just come right in from scratch. I'll just put the intro back up. I'll talk through it as well. What a shambles that was. Let's just start again. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this Wednesday's MBE Movie News. I'm back again. Hopefully the audio's sounding much better now. Perhaps anybody watching in the chat can clarify that. I hope it's sounding better. I sincerely do. It's great now. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sandro. So I'll crack back into it again. Of course, the headline on tonight's show is all about Endgame director Joe Russo, and he's speaking about the future of the MCU. He's speaking about Wolverine and how he believes that the MCU is just not ready to see the man with the claws coming out of his hands quite yet. And look, I'll not paraphrase what the man had to say. I'll just get right into it and I'll say what he said. I'll read what he said. I'll not say what he said. That doesn't make any sense at all. He says, Wolverine was always one of my favourite characters. Series killing me here. Incredible Hulk 181 was one of the first comic books that I remember collecting, which was the first appearance of Wolverine. Hugh Jackman has done an incredible job with the character over the years, and I think they should take a break for a little while before someone else takes a crack at it. Now, it doesn't seem to go on much further than that, but they are heavily taken from that short little quote that he is somehow suggesting that the MCU is not ready for Wolverine. And look, I agree. Me and Stephen have spoken about this many times before, and we're in firm agreement with the likes of Joe Russo, people who actually have great connections to Disney and the inner circles of Marvel, Kevin Feige and whatnot, being the directors of two of the all-time great comic book movies, of course Endgame and Infinity War. They know what they're talking about, and Joe knows what he's talking about, and if he says that the MCU is not quite ready yet, then don't listen to us, listen to a man who knows what he's talking about. And he's right, they're just not ready yet to introduce primary characters within the X-Men side of things. You've not got... I don't believe that you have the actor out there right now who is a right fit for the Wolverine character. I mean, I can walk through a list. I've got an article here suggesting some names. The likes of Tom Hardy. No, Tom Hardy's too well known. He's been around the block too much. I love him. He's a great actor. But I do not want to see Tom Hardy portraying Wolverine. They're then suggesting Charlie Hunnam. He's 6 foot. Again, he's not that great an actor, and I love the guy. He was in the likes of Sons of Anarchy, but not for me. He is not Wolverine. Luke Evans, again, great actor, but nope. John Bernthal, nope. John Boyega, nope. Scott Caan, nope. And I can go right through. Scott Eastwood is actually a decent choice. He would probably be a nice one. For me, I've always viewed Wolverine and these big sort of acting roles, these characters, as roles which should be reserved for people like the likes of your Tom Hiddlestons and Chris Evans and maybe Chris Hemsworths, they're coming up in the game. They've not established themselves quite yet, and they use this as maybe a springboard into stardom, and they can create a name and be synonymous with the role. I wasn't aware of who Jackman was prior to him portraying Wolverine in the Fox side of things, and he became a perfect fit for the role, despite not being the sort of archetypal guy to play Wolverine. He was 6'2" or something. Wolverine in the comics is only 5'3". It shouldn't have worked, but it did work. He brought that raw aggression and whatnot. Daniel Radcliffe, yes, Sandro, you're suggesting that was the other primary name that was getting bandied about. He's short enough, but again, he's too well known. He's always going to be connected to Harry Potter for me. So I agree with Joe Russo. I believe you should let it breathe. Let the characters breathe. We've got so many other great characters coming in, the likes of Shang-Chi. There's talk of Yelena Belova or something, the Florence Pugh character from obviously Black Widow, coming in and replacing Black Widow in the MCU moving forward. You've got so many interesting characters. The Eternals coming in. Lord knows we may have some spin-offs with Shuri and whatnot from Black Panther, and there's going to be other amazing characters coming in from the comics. Fantastic Four. As I said before, I was informed that the audio was absolutely shite. Joe Russo spoke before about the introduction of another classic franchise, which has come over from a classic comic book ensemble, which of course has come over from the Fox side of things, and the Fantastic Four. It's been a shit show every time it's been adapted to film. And he suggested that there's a definitive Fantastic Four movie on the horizon, under the midst of one Kevin Feige, him controlling so obviously the stories and whatnot. I think we have already had an origin story introduced on the sly from the comic sides, which would fit perfectly into the MCU, maybe even intertwined with the Eternals or something like that, some incident in space. So he's already suggested that, look, Fantastic Four is something that could work, and they are characters who could come in and give them some breathing space over the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Then you can start introducing some of the X-Men characters bit by bit by bit. Because look, there was an article just yesterday from Janelle, an incredibly talented artist in general, not just actor, but she can sing, she can dance, she can do everything. Really looking forward to her. I think she's in Antebellum, a sort of strange future time twisting horror movie. She looks very good in that. She's saying she'd love to play Marvel's next Storm. And look, I'd love to see her coming in and playing Storm. I am not against them introducing some of the other X-Men characters, the likes of Storm, maybe, oh God, what's he called again? Cyclops, the one that James Marsden played. Introduce some of the minor, well, not minor, because they're big characters in the comics, but compared to Wolverine and Charles Xavier and obviously Magneto, slightly down a level from them. Introduce some of them in, slowly bring them into the universe that we're crafting into this new phase, and then you can start talking about bringing in the likes of Wolverine and whatnot thereafter, after they've established other names. That's the way I would handle it. I agree with Joe Russo. I don't think it's quite time yet. Look, I was going to talk about another interconnected article, just connecting into it. Incidentally, I've not even put the graphic up. I'm an absolute shambles tonight. Just interconnecting into who could play some of these other X-Men characters moving forward. And Haley Steinfeld as Rogue. Wouldn't be averse to it. She's a great young actress. She seems to be coming up in the game. Everything that she touches seems to do pretty well, the likes of Bumblebee and whatnot. Lakeith Stanfield is Nightcrawler. I love Lakeith Stanfield. I think he's incredible. Just an amazing actor. I'd love to see him portray that character. I wouldn't be averse to it. He's a sort of chameleon anyway. He can find his way into just about any role. Richard Madden the Cyclops. Don't know if that fits. Look, there's a whole list, really, of different ones in there. Andrew Garfield as Iceman and whatnot. Armie Hammer would be a fantastic choice as Cyclops. I'm not going to go through them all, because some of them are just shit, to be honest. Saoirse Ronan, yeah. She'd be a very good shout to come in and perhaps play an X-Men or mutant character. But look, there's so many great actors out there, man. I mean, we can easily fill some of these roles. Let this character sit in the sort of, I don't know, just sit on its own, doing nothing. There's a term I was thinking about there, it's from ice hockey, but I can't recall what the hell it's called. The sin bin. Just let it sit in there, quietly minding its own business. Introduce all these other characters. And who knows, in 10, 8, 9 years' time, my dog is killing me here. we may have an up-and-coming actor who isn't yet flexed their muscles, shown what they're capable of, who may be ready and may be absolutely perfect to portray Wolverine. And if you give it to some established actor right now, they'll never get the opportunity. So look, I agree with Joe Russo. And I'm going to move on that note to the very next topic, guys. This one is coming in from Deadline. It's all about the Monsterverse. It's all about Blumhouse. And it's all about Ryan Gosling's Wolfman movie. Now, me and Stephen also spoke about this a month and a half ago. There was rumours that Ryan Gosling had been tapped. That's the terminology that the publications love to use over in the United States when it comes to film news. He'd been tapped to portray the Wolfman in the next sort of iteration of this Monsterverse. And there was a lot of people saying he's not even remotely the correct fit. He wouldn't do well in that role. It's not right. And look, I can understand what they're saying, because this guy has a reputation for doing rom-coms and things like that. But look, I love him. I know I say that about nearly every actor I speak about on this show, but it's because I only speak about the ones I like. He's just proven himself over the years to be an incredibly diverse actor. He's obviously been in the likes of Drive, Blade Runner 2049, 8, I always get that title wrong. He's done so many diverse and wonderful little roles. Nice Guys with Russell Crowe. I think he can put his hand to anything. He's got that sort of dry comedic wit, but he can be dark and he can be serious. Anyone that has watched Drive will know the man barely utters a word for the first 45 to 50 minutes of that movie, and he's unnerving. He's a nice guy, but he's unnerving, and when we go into the second half of the movie, he just unleashes utter fury. So I think he could play it. I really think he could play the sort of, I presume it's a duology, this character, a sort of dual role, where he's a sort of, I don't know, a shapeshifter. I've not watched many Wolfman movies. I know there was a few back in the day, and we had the one with Michael J. Fox. What's it called again? I've completely blanked on the name. Doesn't even matter. Teen Wolf, I think it was. So I've seen some, but I'm not incredibly clued up on the character and what the actual backstory to this character is. So I presume it would be a sort of shifting thing. Teen Wolf, yes. Strange movie, wasn't it, Sandro? Let's be honest. It was like Back to the Future, but not as good. Just strange. Even the prosthetics were strange. Michael J. Fox, I love the guy. What was this one? The Hammer films are great. See, I have to catch up on all of them. I've seen a few. I've not seen any of the Wolfman movies though, sadly. I know they're there. Perhaps before I go and watch this next Jason Blumhouse movie, then I will perhaps go and give it a bash, so that I know what the character's all about. But I digress. I think he could play the duology of that character pretty well. Human by day, sort of Wolfman by night. It depends on how they obviously work the script, who they get in around them as the sort of main players. That will probably make or break this movie. You've obviously seen it with Invisible Man. Was it Elizabeth Moss? I think the actress's name was. Elizabeth Moss, yes, in Invisible Man, and Leigh Whannell. They worked to great effect. They had a nice little simplistic story. I really enjoyed it. I was looking for characters in the actual corner of the room and whatnot. The Invisible Man. I liked what they did with it. It was very low budget. Blumhouse know what they're doing with these movies. If they can get, well, they're getting Leigh Whannell in. If they can do something similar with this, put a sort of modernistic edge on it, do something different from the older movies, and look, get Ryan Gosling on a good day, then they may be onto a winner again. I'm liking where they're going with this Monsterverse now. It started off really badly with the Mummy movie. I just thought Tom Cruise, not even he could save it. It was just an abomination of a movie. It was horrific. It's bad when you're saying that Mummy 2 and the Mummy Returns and perhaps even Scorpion King are better. That's how bad it was. It got off to a horrendous start. Russell Crowe was in that as well, I'm pretty sure. He played Jekyll and Hyde, and he was one of the few redeeming little side things in that story. But it got off to a bad start, and they've seemed to have got the equilibrium back, and they're doing better now. And it's exciting times for this Monsterverse. It's exciting times for Leigh Whannell as well. This is a guy that signed a 4 or 5 year film picture with Blumhouse, and I want to see Universal as a sort of umbrella company. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to seeing this Dracula movie where they're doing something distinctly different. It's going to be more centred on the actual novels and whatnot. It's exciting times, man. But look, it's exciting times, guys. But look, I'm going to move on to the next topic. As you can see down there, I've already revealed what it is. It's all about the film industry sort of growing within the United Kingdom. It's all very exciting. We have, of course, got another huge studio over here in the United Kingdom, down in England, in Pinewood Studios. I think the interconnected complex with that is now being redeveloped into an even more spacious sort of studio, for lack of a better term. A lot of money being spent on it. We're seeing the industry coming over here more and more and more. We had Endgame shot in Edinburgh. We've had a whole array of huge blockbuster movies shot in my home city of Glasgow. And they're coming here more and more. We've got the Batman, who's here very recently. It's down in London. They're filming in little bits and parts here, there and everywhere down in England. So this is a really exciting turn of events again. £110 million Dagenham film studio complex has been approved. It's just outside of London. It looks absolutely gigantic, this actual complex. It's going to include sound stages and workspaces, workshops, and a 22-acre sort of... It's on a former 22-acre pharmaceutical site. So look, I'm just excited about this. I thought I'd talk about this very briefly because, again, it's just showing how cinema's developing throughout the world. It was almost United States centric for a long time. We've always had Pinewood, the likes of Star Wars was shot here and whatnot, but it's good to see that it's starting to develop and grow outwards. We're seeing more and more big studios being built over here, primarily down in England, and more big films are coming over here and boosting our economy and bringing big stars here. It excites people. You can look out for it in movies, the likes of as it says, the Batman coming here, but Hobbs and Shaw was also shot in Glasgow. And of course 1917 was shot in the docks in my home city as well. So it's amazing when you get to see these big star names coming over here. You get to have the economy being boosted by Hollywood movies and whatnot. And just seeing that it's growing even more with big, huge studio complexes like this. It's exciting times indeed, guys. And it's boosting a side of sort of the artistic side of things, which is badly needing boosted after this whole coronavirus nonsense. The theatres are on their knees, actual old school theatres and cinema theatres. And look, I couldn't be happier about it, but look, it was brief. It was a short little sort of filler topic to see me through. I need my help when I'm on my own. I can't quite fill the topics out like I would when I have Stephen here. I give my thoughts and I move on swiftly before rabbit holes are encountered. But look, guys, here's the next topic. This one's coming in from Screen Rant, and it's all about Jude Law. Of course, another fantastic English actor. Just keeping that sort of interconnected UK vibe continuing on. He's apparently in talks to play one Captain Hook in an upcoming Disney live-action remake of Peter Pan. How many live-action remakes are Disney going to give us? I mean, it's... How many is that now? We've got... I've lost the plot. Cinderella, Jungle Book, The Lion King, Aladdin, Mulan. The list is endless, really. We've got Lady and the Tramp. I want to say it's at least 7. Maybe 8. Dumbo as well, and I think I said Aladdin. 7 or 8 live-action remakes, and there's only going to be more coming. And it's not even like... I mean, I think there was a Peter Pan animated movie, but the one I always think about is the Robin Williams one from the early 2000s. And I don't understand why we need to have another live-action remake of Peter Pan and Wendy, apparently it's going to be called. But look, if you're going to get Jude Law in to portray Captain Hook, then you've got me hooked, if you pardon the pun. Because he's a fantastic actor. He's done it all again, this guy. He's played Dumbledore, he's played... your man in Sherlock Holmes, he's sidekick. He's played just about everything, this guy. He's a tremendously talented guy. He's charismatic, and I think he could put... I don't know if he's played a villainous role as of yet, but he certainly could play a villainous character. And what better than a campy sort of take on Captain Hook? Because, of course, the one in the live-action remake, I want to say, or was it the original? Someone can correct me. With Robin Williams, it was a very campy Captain Hook, here comes the hook and all of that crap. I loved that movie back in the day, incidentally. There you go, they are actually saying it was first released in 1953. As I says, I did my weights before I came on. I've not done my research into a lot of these articles. You will have to bear with me. 1953, classic animated movie. They are reimagining this movie, and Jude Law is potentially going to be playing Captain Hook. I don't know what you'd make of that. If you've got anything to say about that in the chat just now. I ain't got much more to say. It will really depend on who they get in to play the likes of Peter Pan. Again, it's so important. The other casting roles. Hook is a sort of villainous role who flits in and out of the story. He's away, he's presumed to be dead, he then pops back up, he's alive, and Peter Pan has to encounter him and send him back to a watery death once again. So he's going to jut in and out of this movie, Jude Law, and it's going to be primarily based on who they get as Peter Pan and Wendy, which will make or break this live action movie. But look, I have to say, before I move on, I have, in the most part, liked the majority of the live action Disney remakes, despite slagging them off about doing remake after remake after remake. I really enjoyed the Cinderella movie, strangely, being a 31-year-old man. I was probably about 27 at the time. It was a decent little movie. I loved the Jungle Book and what Jon Favreau managed to bring to that. I semi-enjoyed the Tim Burton take on Dumbo. Really enjoyed Aladdin and what Guy Ritchie brought to that. Lion King was okay. So in the main, they're doing enough to put a new sort of not flash, but a new sort of sheen on these movies for a new generation who will not go back and watch these cartoon animated movies, which are riddled with racism and dodgy cultural references anyway, so you don't want your kids going back and watching them, let's be honest. But look, time will tell. Jude Law's a great man. I love the guy. He was actually floating about up here in my city as well at one point drinking. I don't know what that was about, but he's a great guy and I'd like to see him play Hook. But I'm going to move on. I've not got much more to add to it. Saoirse Ronan as Wendy, possibly. That could be a shout. I do like Saoirse as well. Another fine actress who's come out of nowhere for me anyway, and she's just starred in so many good movies now. It's like Florence Pugh, a force of nature. Just continue to churn them out. They're like the female versions of Timothée Chalamet. I don't know where they get the time to make all these amazing movies, but they do. And her perhaps playing Wendy would be a shout. But look guys, next topic, and the final one on the show tonight is all about the next Tron movie. Now this is going to be incredibly short. I ain't going to lie, there is not much meat on the bones of this story. It's coming in from Empire. And apparently, the next Tron movie could potentially be another reboot. Now, or another reboot. No, another sequel, they've said. Sorry, not a reboot. I'm talking absolute nonsense here. Another sequel. Now, this confused me because why? What's the issue with another sequel? Would you even want a reboot of this? Would you even want a sequel first and foremost? This is the thing I'm going to start off with. I'll start off with the sequel and why I think that is a terrible idea. We've spoke about this so many times with so many other franchises, sort of movies, IPs, whatever you want to call them. The likes of Back to the Future. That's the primary one I always think of. Terminator as well. Aliens. These movies which were out in the 1980s, and they were sort of unique concepts 40, 30 years ago. But they're not unique now. There's so many other cool little stories floating around now which almost blow them out the water. There's no real need to go back and keep re-churning out different takes on this, doing sequels. You're never going to beat the original Tron movie. It's a sort of modern day classic, akin to what Blade Runner is, the original Blade Runner. It's different, it's sci-fi, it can't really be topped. Despite having better technology and CGI and whatnot, there's something about it. There's a novelty factor with that original movie. Just the arcade 80s style. And they keep trying to do it. They did it with RoboCop as well, and it just didn't work for me. They remade it, and it was flashy, but it lacked heart, it lacked the soul of the original movie. And that is always the danger when you go back and try to reinvigorate and redo older stories which were perfect for their time. They don't work. They're movies of their era, of their decade. People have changed. Society is different now. They view movies differently. They expect more from movies. And that's why I don't think a sequel's a good idea. And it's probably why I don't think a reboot is a good idea either. Because you've seen that last one, 2010. It was shite. It was a terrible movie. Not even remotely a patch on the original. I didn't like it. And I don't see the need to do another Tron movie of any vein. Reboot, sequel. Terrible. Blade Runner was in 1982. Yeah, I only recently watched Blade Runner, perhaps 3 years ago. Somehow missed it for a long time, and I loved that movie. I loved Harrison Ford in it. I thought he was incredible as Richard Deckard, was it Richard? I'm maybe combining Richard Kimball from The Fugitive, but Deckard anyway. He was absolutely superb in that movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But again, a movie of its time. Denis Villeneuve almost managed to accomplish the impossible by taking that and continuing it on with Ryan Gosling. An amazing sort of classic Roger Deakins scope and shot movie, but it lacked the heart and soul of the original, and they just... I really enjoyed it, but they just can't seem to capture what made these movies in the 1980s great, and they can't seem to bring it into the modern day era. But look, it's a shame, but that's life. The classic Tron is way better. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And I'm going to round it up on that note, in complete agreement with Sandro in the chat. It was much better. Everything was better than the 1980s and the 1990s, let's be honest. I'm just going to be a whiny little bitchy millennial here and say that everything was better when I was a child. Children now, I feel for you. You have got nothing. You have got TikTok. It's absolute shite. I'll take my avocado and toast, and I'll take the 1990s all day long. All day long, man. But look, I'm going to round the show up, guys. I'm starting to go off on a complete rabbit hole tangent. What is your thoughts on Joe Russo's comments about Wolverine? Do you agree? Do you think that Wolverine should be thrust right into the MCU, or do you think he should be put on ice for at least 10 years or more? What is your thoughts on Janelle Monáe talking about coming in to play Storm as well? What do you make about Ryan Gosling teaming up with Leigh Whannell on the Wolfman? The £110 million Dagenham film complex. Are you from the United Kingdom? Are you excited about film and Hollywood, sort of a little piece of Hollywood coming to United Kingdom year in, year out, bit by bit? We seem to be getting more. What's your thoughts on Jude Law playing Hook? And finally, do you want to see a Tron movie? I certainly don't. But look, if you've got anything to say about any of the topics that I spoke about down below, you can comment below. Yeah, I wanted, before I actually round this up, I agree with you, Sandro. I seen your comment before I actually came on and started the show. They are terrified of using that yellow suit for Wolverine, and I don't know why, because it's so iconic, and I want to see them really full on, I don't know what the term would be, but full on appreciating the comic book source material. Get those goddamn yellow suits in. They toyed with it with the X-Force for a bit in Deadpool 2. Get the goddamn X-Men in when you do get them in with the full resplendent yellow jackets. But look, I digress, tangent aside. You can comment below, you can like the video if you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. And if you do, you'll see me again tomorrow with Stephen for another NBA movie news. Bye bye, guys.